somehow Ohtani got in the way of these guys making money. And guess what? Those are the type of lawsuits that judges tend to pay very close attention to.
Los Angeles Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani and his agent are being sued for allegedly sabotaging a $240 million real estate deal.
Shohei Ohtani is one of the best baseball players of all time. He can hit 50 home runs, steal 40 bases, strike out 200 guys, all while winning MVP. But for some reason, his name gets brought up more often for off-the-field issues. Last year, Shohei Ohtani was embroiled in a $1 million gambling scandal that almost cost him his career. But that pales in comparison to what we just found out. And if what we just found out is true, it not only could cost him his career this time, but it might even land him in jail. But before we get to it, we're doing a huge giveaway trying to get to 25k subs, where if you're subscribed with notifications on, you're entered into a raffle to get an MLB official jersey. So if you haven't already done that, do that now. And let me know in the comments below what kind of jersey you'd want. Now that that's out of the way, let's get right into this crazy story. It's honestly not insane to just say that Shohei Ohtani might be the most talented player of all time. We've never seen somebody hit, pitch, and run the bases like he can. So why is the most talented baseball player of all time more associated with gambling than sports? If you remember correctly, last season, after Shohei Ohtani signed his absurd $700 million contract, his best friend and translator, Ippei Mizuhara, was arrested and charged with fraud. The investigation found that Ippei was taking millions of dollars out of Shohei's accounts without his knowledge and used all of that money to gamble. Now, despite the investigation stating Ohtani had no knowledge whatsoever of this happening, fans found that hard to believe. Sure, Ohtani has an insane amount of money, but if millions of dollars goes missing, you'd think he would notice. I mean, I sure as hell would. Either way, despite the investigation fully clearing Ohtani, this situation is a huge red flag for baseball purists around the world. Before he passed away, Pete Rose even famously said, back in the 70s and 80s, I wish I'd had an interpreter. I'd be scot-free. The Ippei Mizuhara gambling scandal might be the most popular story involving Ohtani outside of baseball, but there's plenty more. His Tommy John situation could have been handled better with the Angels. His contract with the Dodgers completely broke deferred money. And oh yeah, his wife and his dog are two of the most popular figures in Japan. But now, at a time that the Dodgers desperately need to turn around their season, Shohei Ohtani might lose everything, including his entire bank account. The day this lawsuit was filed, the Los Angeles Dodgers were just one game up on the Padres in the NL West. Mookie Betts is going through the worst slump of his career, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto is struggling to throw strikes for the first time this season. Everybody on the team is struggling. Everybody, of course, except Shohei Ohtani. But we'll get into that a little bit later, because it was just announced that Shohei Ohtani and his agent are being sued for $250 million. Now, to sum it up the best I can, the realty company that filed the lawsuit initially welcomed Shohei Ohtani as a partner in order to endorse a property in Hawaii so that the property's value would go up. And this is a common practice in real estate. If somebody famous or of notoriety lives nearby, oftentimes property values surrounding their house also go up. Hawaii is a common vacation spot for all types of wealthy families, and if they think Shohei Ohtani lives nearby, they're gonna pay more money. However, according to the lawsuit, Ohtani's entire position with the project changed in the blink of an eye. After agreeing to just endorse the property, the lawsuit alleges Ohtani and his agent kept asking for more and more. But after the real estate company didn't want to accommodate Ohtani and his agent, the lawsuit alleges they got them fired, resulting in hundreds of millions of dollars in lost profit. Now, if you're still struggling to understand the situation, I think ex-Miami Marlins GM David Samson explains it best.
This lawsuit is filed in Hawaii, where the properties are, and it's alleging tortious interference with the contract. It's alleging unjust enrichment, and what it's saying is that somehow Ohtani got in the way of these guys making money. And guess what? Those are the type of lawsuits that judges tend to pay very close attention to.
So basically, here's the deal. If what David Samson says is true, the real estate company has a very real claim against Ohtani in this situation. This doesn't seem like a petty lawsuit filed to make headlines. It seems like it was filed because real people lost real money because either Ohtani or his agent screwed them. Now, with all of this information, we have to ask ourselves, who's to blame? I know your first instinct is to blame Ohtani. I get it. That gambling scandal he had last year was is the stuff that ends careers. 99% of the time, an athlete who goes through something like that never plays again. Now, I know it's popular to say that Ohtani has a history with gambling controversies, and it's funny, or maybe it's semi-plausible, but let's just look at the facts. In the ESPN article that breaks down this entire situation, the realtor company claims they initially brought Ohtani into the fold in 2023. So let's get this straight. While rehabbing from Tommy John, while negotiating the most interesting, largest, and problematic contract in all of pro sports, while picking what city to play for the rest of his life, while trying to remain focused and locked into an MVP, to win the World Series, and to become a global icon, Shohei Ohtani was also making shady phone calls to a realtor company in Hawaii. And this isn't even just your regular old sponsorship. This is $250 million real estate deal that he agreed to endorse. Yeah, I don't know. With all that going on, I just don't know if I can buy into that. I think it's more likely that his agent was the one doing this behind the scenes. Obviously, it's not concrete evidence, but all of the arrows point to this. Now, Ohtani himself is listed on the lawsuit, so maybe I am missing something. But even the realty company themselves stated, quote, Ohtani's agent Nez Balelo increasingly demanded concessions from, end quote, the developers. They even claimed Balelo, quote, demanded that their business partner, Kingsbarn Realty Capital, drop them from the deal, end quote. This is extremely sketchy behavior from the agent. But let me be clear on another thing. I'm not entirely absolving Ohtani from the blame here. You know the old saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me? I think this perfectly applies to Ohtani here. Take, for example, the Ippei Mizuhara situation. Ohtani's best friend and translator took advantage of his trust and stole his money to gamble on sports. Shame on Ippei. But Ohtani now let his agent take advantage of his trust and not only screwed over a developer, but also might cost him hundreds of millions of dollars. Shame on Ohtani. And it's not like Shohei is some 21, 22, or 23-year-old kid. He's a 30-year-old grown man. Especially after he was scammed by Ippei, he needs to take a little bit more accountability with financial situations like this. I'm sorry, but if you got scammed by your translator and your agent is about to cost you millions of dollars because they tried to use your name as leverage in a deal, I'd probably do something different with my financial situation. But this entire fiasco pales in comparison to what the Dodgers and Ohtani are about to experience in the coming months.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm frustrated. We're all frustrated. Yeah, I don't know how else to say. We need to win a game. No excuses, just play better.
Right now, the Dodgers are a team struggling to win consecutive series, and as a result, their division lead has crumbled to just one game over the Padres. But it wasn't too long ago when they were the best team in the National League. From March 18th to July 3rd, the Los Angeles Dodgers were a mighty 56-32. But from July 4th and onward, they're a subpar 12-19. Now, it's easy to blame injuries, and while the Dodgers certainly have had their fair share of bad luck, they've also had some big names come back recently as well. Both Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow are back on the bump. And by the way, Shohei Ohtani is nearly stretched out enough to go 100 pitches deep, but for some reason, they keep struggling. Mookie Betts has been awful. Freddie Freeman has had bad stretches, and that's all without mentioning the bullpen, who have been downright terrible. If Shohei Ohtani goes through a slump next, the Dodgers might be out of NL West contention for good. One thing I will give Ohtani credit for is his ability to block out noise and perform, and he'll need that more than ever now. Take, for example, his gambling scandal that shocked the world in early 2024. He put up a 1,000 OPS while hitting 22 extra base hits in his first full month as a Dodger. The guy clearly doesn't care what the media is talking about. He just wants to play baseball. Even though I do think Ohtani will be stressing out about losing millions of dollars, I don't think it'll affect his on-field performance whatsoever. But that still leaves just one question remaining. How will this entire situation be resolved? Will Ohtani actually lose $250 million? Well, here's the easy answer. No, absolutely not. Odds are Ohtani and his agent don't want this thing going to court, and instead of a drawn-out legal process that'll take years and millions of dollars in its own right due to legal fees, this will probably be settled out of court. Or at least that's what I think. There is also a very small outside chance the developers who filed this lawsuit don't care about the monetary value and just want to build their name and brand off of being the ones to file $250 million lawsuit against Shohei Ohtani. But like I said, I believe that's a very small chance. If I had to guess, the Dodgers will end up returning to form by October with or without winning the NL West, and we'll all forget about this in the coming years. Or will we? Now, even though the gambling scandal and this $240 million lawsuit clear Ohtani of wrongdoing, it's still kind of suspicious. I know that Ippei was the one gambling, and I know that Ohtani wasn't the one pulling the strings behind these alleged events, but it feels weird to me. Like, how does a player as popular as Shohei Ohtani get involved in two of the biggest non-baseball related scandals in the last 2 years? It's kind of weird if one of those events happens in a player's entire career, but two within 2 years. All I'm saying is it's just a little bit odd, but who knows? Maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on Ohtani. Maybe he's just super unlucky and surrounded by bad people. But if that's the case, it's Ohtani's job to fix that and replace them with positive people who have his best interests at heart. One thing I think both sides of the Ohtani scandal debate have in common is that Ohtani is surrounded by certain people who are or were objectively bad at their job. Ippei Mizuhara wasn't just Ohtani's translator. He was his best friend. He was his personal assistant, therapist. He was doing anything Shohei asked. And he was the one who stole over $4 million from Shohei. Ohtani's agent, Nesbalello, isn't just responsible for managing Shohei's money. He's the man responsible for making sure he has a positive image and stays squeaky clean, especially after his gambling scandal a few years prior. That's the man who landed Shohei Ohtani in a $240 million lawsuit? Really? How do you land your biggest client in a $250 million lawsuit? Not only does it make him look bad, he probably lost even more money in future business deals because people no longer feel comfortable making with him. This is a financial and PR nightmare. Now, it is Shohei Ohtani, so I'm sure things will blow over. But if I was Shohei Ohtani, after what happened with Ippei and now his agent, I wouldn't just get new management. I'd try and salvage any lost profit out of Nesbalello as possible. But honestly, who knows what's going on? This is just the beginning of this $240 million scandal, and we might get more information any day now that could change the story entirely. Who do you think is in the right? Should the MLB reinvestigate Ohtani's gambling scandal? Maybe you think Ohtani's done nothing wrong and he should get new management entirely. Or do you think something more sinister is going on and Ohtani is responsible for anything? Let me know in the comments down below, and I appreciate all the love and support. That's all for today, folks. I'll see you on the next one.